Hello, friends. Before we dive into today's episode, I want to give a quick heads up. We will be talking today about some more mature and potentially heavy topics. So if you have little ears around, you might want to press pause and come back to this when you have a moment to yourself. As always, here at the Savvy Cast, we are all about honest, uplifting, and real conversations. And that sometimes means covering things that aren't always easy. Thanks for being here and trusting me to bring thoughtful, meaningful content your way. I want to let you know that today's episode does include some political themes, but not in the way you might think. Our guest, Bevelyn Williams, is sharing her personal story, part of which includes her experience and perspective on certain political topics. This episode is not meant to divide, but to share a journey that is uniquely Bevelyn's. Her views are her own, and we're grateful for the opportunity to listen with open hearts and minds. Now, let's jump in. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Savvy Cast. This is Jamie, and I'm thrilled that you're here today, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening to the podcast. I am very excited about today's very special guest. Bevelyn Williams is joining me from her home in New York, and she has been in the news as of late, but her story is about more than just her recent release from prison by President Trump. She has a story to tell from a young age and just a life story that many of you might relate to. Many of you may not, but she has a very rich, colorful, and very compelling life. And I learned so much when I heard her on Allie Beth Stuckey's podcast, and I was just delighted when she agreed to be on the Savvy Cast. Bevelyn, thank you for being on the Savvy Cast. I'm thrilled that you're here.
Thank you for having me. And yes, I am from New York, but I live in Tennessee now.
That's right. You did.
Yeah,
I knew that.
country girl.
Oh, yes. Now, what part of Tennessee do you live in?
Chattanooga.
Oh, my. Okay. You're close. I'm going to come see you. I love Chattanooga.
You do?
Oh, my goodness. We were there not long ago, and we stayed at this wonderful hotel downtown. Oh, goodness. I can't even think of the name of it.
Reed House?
Yes, the Reed House.
Uh-huh.
Oh my goodness. Chattanooga is beautiful, and it is not even 2 hours from here. So I'm going to come see you, and that'll be a great excuse for me to come and stay at the Reed House.
All right, that'd be fun. And we can go and have the steakhouse is the bomb.
Yes, I know. I did. We ate there at the steakhouse, and it was wonderful. But
Best.
Bevelyn, I just want to start. First of all, I always start with a lighthearted icebreaker question for all of my guests, and that is, what would you choose as your last meal? Before you go see Jesus, what are you going to request?
Girl, that's hard. Okay. If I had to, it would have to be one of the best charcuterie boards in the world, like pate with like goose liver. And the best prosciutto that just melts like butter in your mouth, and capicola, and the best brie. I want some blue cheese that's gooey but really dense and just stinky, and just and some rosemary biscuits, and fresh French baguette, French butter. Okay.
Okay, you have a very sophisticated palate.
You think so?
Okay, girl, I'm going to tell you this. We went to Blackberry Farm, my husband, that's a foodie place in Tennessee, Wallen, Tennessee. They serve that goose pate that you just mentioned, and I'm so ridiculous, I wouldn't eat it because I've never had it. I thought, ugh, I'm very simple, and my palate, and I'm sitting here like, she's sophisticated. That's a highbrow, way to go out.
Girl, and it's good though. It's so good. Like I don't know. I went to France and I just got introduced to a world of food, and I was like, oh, and I ended with some good old buttery escargot.
Oh, okay.
Escargot.
You are the first one who has named a last meal of, and I've had over 100 episodes. First, first guest who has eaten something that I have never tried. Many things that I've never tried. I've never tried escargot. That's crazy.
You know what, girl? I would take you to New York with me. We would go to this place called La Grande Boucherie, and
Mm.
I'll tell you order. Just get it and try it. And when you take a bite, you'll be like,
Where's
"What?
this been all my life?
Where's this been? It's garlicky, buttery,
Oh.
parsley."
Well, now do you cook like you eat, or do you just do that when you travel?
I cook like I eat. What I do is I go to Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's has a chicken liver pate that's really good. So I will pull up with that. I do know how to make duck confit. It's really easy. It's not hard to make. It's really easy. I get the duck from Aldi, season it, marinate it, and then I cook it up. But for the most part, like last night, I made curry goat, baked mac and cheese, and some purple cabbage for my husband because he likes Caribbean food. So when I do venture into cooking, I cook. Now, if it's like a recipe where I gotta pull it out the oven, put it back in, roll it in this, that, I'm not doing it. I'm going to buy it. You know what I'm saying? Like if we're
Yeah.
talking about a beef Wellington or something like that,
Oh, yeah,
not
I'm
happening.
going out. Uh-huh,
I'm
yeah.
no Ramsay, I'm pulling up. But if it's something where it's like all I need to do is just follow a simple like seasoning recipe,
Yeah.
marinate it, and then I just stick it somewhere and it does it.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm gonna have to go. Trader Joe's is right up here, so I'm gonna go get some pate. Oh my goodness. You've given me one more thing to shop for. Oh, Bevelyn, I just want to, okay, I was just reading over your biography, and I just want everyone to know because I do not know the beliefs, the faith or lack of all of my viewers and listeners. And what we are going to discuss, don't know how everyone's going to take it, but you are one. When I was reading your biography, I said, she has had a life that there's no judgment in this woman. There's no judgment. You might be accused of something, like I might be accused of a lot of things, but my past as well, I can't judge anyone. So, what we're going to get into, I just want everyone to keep in mind that what you do and what you are passionate about, it comes from a place of love and conviction, not judgment.
Right. I feel like, to be honest with you, when you operate in a place of judging others, you're very unproductive. You don't have a productive ministry, and
Mhm.
you really kind of limit yourself because everybody is not blessed with certain blessings that others have. Some are blessed with amazing parents, some are not. Some are blessed with, I don't have a relationship with my mama to this day, but I have a really good husband. I have a beautiful daughter. I have a relationship with her that I can build that I didn't have, right? So for me,
Mm,
especially when I was in prison, I could not judge these girls according to their paperwork because if
mm,
I did, I would not be productive. Both of my bunkies that I stayed with while I was locked up were child molesters. Now you think about it.
oh.
I'm in there for standing and protecting children. I also experienced, and I just was molestation is touched, so people know. They were further
Mm.
execution. I call it like execution, not killing, but you go that the full
Yeah,
route.
yeah.
That's another level. Nonetheless, I could not, if I was going to minister to these girls and I was going to see them the way Christ saw them,
Mhm.
I had to remove that judgmental lens in a sense of Christ already died, the blood was shed, and it is sufficient for the worst sin. Christ
Mhm.
does not look at people's sins. He looks at their potential and where they're going, right? But if they choose to stay in sin and they reject him, that's on them. They're going to pay the price for that. But lest they wake up one day and decide, you know what, Christ, I'm sorry. He's going to forgive those sins. So now a human will be like, oh, well, girl, you raped kids. Oh, don't talk to me. But if he repented to Christ, Christ isn't doing that in heaven saying, oh, he can't come in. He raped kids.
Mhm.
His blood is sufficient. So it's just through those experiences and even what I've done, God could deliver me, right? So I need to always look at the heart of someone and just hope for that deliverance for them.
Mm. Well, Bevelyn, give us a little peek into your childhood, how you grew up.
So, you gotta understand now as an adult, when I think back on it and I'm like, wow, like that's crazy that I really like grew up like that. It's so wrong, right? My mother, when she had us, I think she had us for because she was in a relationship with my dad. I don't know if my mom ever counted the cost of being a parent.
Mm.
And I don't know if my mom was ever mature enough mentally to put someone else before herself. Okay. And I think that includes my dad. I think a lot of times women want relationships with men, but it's for affirmation for themselves. It's not necessarily to be in a relationship and humble yourself and want to be with that person for them. It's for self because it fits like an image that they want to portray, right? And so my mom having us, she just was not prepared mentally. And once things got tough, I can't go out like I want to. I can't party like I want to. I can't do this like I want to because of these kids. Me or the kids. My mom picked herself a lot of the times. So I dealt with a lot of child abuse. I dealt with a lot of mental abuse, a lot of mental manipulation. And that's something that I feel like people have to understand about kids. A lot of kids, they come into the picture and they're being mentally manipulated from the start. I thought I was a burden. I thought that I, I felt like I was a burden to my mother. I felt like I dragged her life down. I felt like I was the reason for the bad in her life. And I did everything in my power to try to be a good daughter, to try to help her feelings towards being stuck with us. She would sit, sometimes she would come home and she would sit there and she would say, I wish I could be like your dad and just get up and walk away, but I can't. I'm stuck with y'all. And
Mm.
so as a kid, that it burned, but I didn't understand how to register it. I'm thinking in my mind, okay, if I work harder, if I'm
Mhm.
that kid, it will help. And then at a young age, though, I got to this place with my mom when I realized, like, I do my best, you still find a new reason to complain.
Mm.
So now you know what? Forget it. What am I trying for? So now I am doing what I want to do. I'm rebelling. I'm not listening to my mom. I'm being a black sheep. And I'm being that because I'm seeing, like, listen, either way go, I'm getting this same result with my mother. My mother's still going to be angry,
Mhm.
irritable, mean. And so I was brought up tough. I became hard hearted at a young age because I was suffering from a broken heart. I was suffering from so much rejection. And so a lot of what I did played a part. My hardened heart played a part because I was a broken hearted kid who did not know how to navigate being hurt like that.
And then you got in your I was reading that you got in a lot of trouble at
Right.
school and you had some imprisonment prior to this
Right.
one. So you really were like a child that had been rejected by both parents essentially, and you were just doing the best you could, but you were going down the wrong path.
Correct. And the reason why that rejection it stands like my dad, he tried, and I think my mom in her own way tried, but they were just selfish. They were selfish. And I mean, I'm sure people listening, and I mean, you could even say, I'm sure you've just went to the grocery store and you saw mom and thought to yourself, that's a selfish woman. You just see little small things and you're like, mm-mm, mm-mm.
Mhm.
That ain't right. And so me getting in trouble in school, fighting, all of this stuff like that. I mean, I'm moving from place to place. Never stayed in the same school. I went from living with my mom to now living with my dad. I'm going from going to school where it's predominantly white. I'm the only black kid there. Like, not like that mattered. But as soon as I'm getting acclimated to that, now I'm moving to another city where it's a bunch of Spanish kids.
Yeah.
And now I gotta get acclimated to that culture. Now I'm moving back to
Uh,
school with, with the kids of my color. So now that culture is totally different. When I went to school with all white kids, wearing new Jordans and all of that stuff didn't really matter, right? It was about playing sports. It was about being fit. It was about stuff like that. I
mm.
was learning about the Fallout Boys and rock and Linkin Back and all of that. So now I'm getting adjusted to this culture. I'm robbing. Now all of a sudden I'm moving to another city. Now it's mad Spanish kids at the school, and a whole new another culture that I don't even understand because they're talking Spanish to each other, right? And I just gotta acclimate with that. And then now I'm back in my neighborhood where I don't fit in. I don't dress the way they dress. I don't have the swag that you understand. So
Right.
I'm dealing with all of
Back
this.
and forth.
Then on top of that, I'm also really good looking, and I don't know it. So now boys are liking me and girls are not liking me. And now
Oh,
I mean, I got 5 siblings. When we get into it, we fighting. You drink the last bit of Kool-Aid, we throwing hands. Let's go.
oh
I'm
my
fight, you know?
God.
Follow you. You have 5 kids, there's gonna be some fights in the house.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
fighting, period.
that's funny.
Right?
So really nobody met, well, they learned quickly, don't mess with Bevelyn.
Right. Because
You
my
were street smart.
right. Everything. And this is the crazy part. In school, I was intelligent. I never had a hard time passing my grades. It's just did I bother. I was so
Yeah.
distracted about everything going on that I was completely disconnected from my grades. And so there would be times I would tap in and I would just do my homework assignments. And it's like I didn't even study.
Mhm.
The teacher would be talking and it sounded like womp, 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 womp. So then now I got to learn about fractions. I just read the book. I just look at the book and see, oh, it's that, get it. Okay. Do the test, pass the test. It was like when I wanted to make A's and B's, I made A's and B's. I was really good. And then I would be bored in school because it's like half of the stuff I understand already. And then on top of that, now I'm watching everything going on around me. I'm seeing all of this big world around me, that all these different worlds I'm introduced to every year. And I'm trying to navigate that. So it was a lot.
Well, Bevelyn, how you ended up, and you are very clear in your writings that you had not one but 3 abortions,
Yes.
and you had a life change where Jesus became king of your life,
Right.
and everything changed, and you became an advocate for life inside the womb. Would you say that all of that was intertwined, that you looked at the journey you had taken, how Christ swooped in and totally redeemed you, and then your passion led you to fight for the unborn?
Yes. And just to add context to that, I'll take it even further. When I was in my mom's, excuse me, womb, the umbilical cord was wrapped around me about 2 times. And the doctor had told her that this was before, like, this was 90s where C-sections weren't really
Yeah,
approved yet.
it's common.
Right. And so the doctor really didn't want to do a C-section. So he said, we'll wait. You can just, if you wait, you can just have the baby naturally. But if you do, she won't survive. And my mom was like, and he was more so leaning towards waiting. My mom was like, well, no, I had it this long. You have to do something, cut her out, something like, no. And so my mother will always tell me as a kid, she was like, you were going to die. Like it was either death or you get cut out of my stomach. And now when I look back at that, I think to myself, wow, there was an agenda against my life before I even got started.
Wow.
I mean, on entry, Satan was just hitting me with everything he got. And unfortunately, my parents, because they operated in a carnal mind, they did not have the eyes, the ears, and the wisdom to operate to protect their children on a spiritual level. And I'm even watching that with my daughter now. My daughter's so spiritually guarded now that, a lot of people focus on education with their kids and ABCs. And while my daughter's very intelligent, I mean, she's almost 3 and she already knows her ABCs and phonics. My daughter sees in the spirit first.
Mm,
But me and my husband, we guard her on that.
mm.
I was not guarded on that. So all of these things that I went through, it was like I was born into this war and I was hit with every blow. And because my parents lacked the proper protection, it was literally by miracles that I was saved and got away by the hair of my chin. But it's like God orchestrated it perfectly to fit me exactly where he wanted me to be from the beginning, why he sent me down here. And now with that, it was his way of showing the enemy, there's nothing you can do to stop this. This is happening. And now, because you tried to stop it, I'm going to double down on it 10 times better than it was supposed to be.
Okay, see that is such clarity because your mother basically chose not to, like, if she had continued with the natural birth, you would not have survived,
Right.
and she said no. So your mother went against a type of abortion, even though,
Right.
technically. That is such a I mean, if you believe in God like we do, you so clearly see that he's starting a warrior life. I mean, you against all odds
Right.
from the beginning
Right.
and through your school years
Right.
and through your young adulthood. And then you found Jesus, and then you have a passion for fighting for the unborn.
Right.
And now, I don't know all of the details of what happened, but, and I do not and I did listen to all of the Ally Beth podcasts, and we basically all know whether it's in an instance like that, but there just because you are arrested and put into prison does not mean you are guilty of anything. There's so many things that happen in court
Right.
systems, unjustly accused, and you see how that so many went after our current president. I mean, that lawfare can
Right.
happen to anyone, and basically,
Right.
I heard a lot of that on that happened to you on the Alley podcast. But what I really want to ask you is the day that you were arrested and you realized we were under the Biden administration. They were very antagonistic toward any pro-lifers, very,
Right.
very antagonistic. So you knew you were at risk in the first place.
Right.
So when you were arrested and you realized, uh-oh, what was going through your mind? Because you had your baby girl. She was at that point, was she almost 2?
Almost two. Yes.
Okay, because you spent exactly how long in prison?
So when I got indicted, um, I didn't really go to prison. I just got arraigned and kind of released. But my official time in prison was 3 months from October 16th of 2024 all the way up until January 23rd, 2025. Now prior to, you have to understand, I went through I was on free trial for 2 years. And then I did trial. And then after trial, they scheduled my sentencing 3 months after trial. And then they scheduled my surrender date 3 months after my sentencing. So it was a good maybe I would say good three almost years of dealing with this. And
Because wasn't being in a trial almost like being in prison? Your time is not your own. You can't be with your family. You're
right,
sitting there
right,
arguing and defending over and over by people who
right,
are out to get you.
right. Even the thing is, even before you actually do the trial, when you get indicted and you're fighting your case, they make you surrender your passport. They tell you that you're not allowed to be in a certain area. So I was not allowed to leave the eastern part of Tennessee nor the southern part of New York without permission from the government. I had a probation officer that I had to answer to every month, even though I was not found guilty. And I had to get permission to do anything. So I was dealing with being a criminal, already incriminated, even before I was found guilty. Absolutely.
How many other people went through what you went on that particular protest abortion event?
My best friend. My
Okay,
best friend was indicted along with me, Edme Shabbat, and that's the one who mentored me.
okay,
She also went through what I went through.
okay.
She had to surrender. We both had to give up our passports and answer to this and this and this and all of these things. The only difference was after trial, she was found not guilty, and I was found guilty. But the biggest thing was that they didn't really want her. I believe that's why she was found not guilty for two reasons. Number one, she wasn't the face. People, I was the face, so I believe they wanted me. And number two, she had a way better lawyer. I had a lawyer who I had to get a court appointed lawyer, obviously.
Mm.
These lawyers is $600 an hour, y'all. Like, unless you got 300 grand of cash sitting out somewhere, and I don't care, even if you have $100,000 salary a
Go
year,
through it.
you do not have $300,000 cash to cough out to nobody. It's just the reality.
So a
Okay?
court appointed then means you're not having to pay, but you don't get to choose.
Correct. But you
Okay.
get a private lawyer that they pick. So now my first lawyer that they picked ended up quitting before trial. And then they put in a new lawyer, and he just, oh man, he was so lazy. He was so just, he
Mhm.
really bad lawyer. And I think those things played a part.
Well, Bevelyn, when you were, and I want you to give my viewers and listeners a glimpse because you did this on Allie's podcast, and I was like, oh my goodness, would I have survived that? Prison is no cakewalk. And I mean, give us an idea of what is the worst thing about it other than you're separated from your family. You said you have roommates and you don't have your private cell. Just tell us, give us a day in the life.
So coming into prison, I would say the worst thing for me was the homosexuality. It's just everywhere, girl. It was like, oh God, you got women in there that look like grown men.
So if where do you okay, if you're in prison and you're in a cell and you're supervised, where do you go to do all of that?
You're not supervised.
Mm.
You've got 240 people to one pilot, one officer who rotates every hour, then goes and sit back in the office. So if you want to fight, all you have to do is put like a little cover up on the opening door because it's the same steel door and it just has one little small window. All you got to do is cover up that window. Y'all go in there, y'all fight. Y'all want to sleep around with each other, you do it. And it was the girl, everything under the sun was going on in jail. Drugs, the amount of drugs in jail is more drugs in jail than in the streets.
What kind
And
of drugs?
K2, K2, it's a synthetic
The
form.
ketamine that killed Chandler on Friends. He died of the ketamine overdose. So that's in prisons.
That's all the way in prisons. My monkey, I had to deal with her smoking that. She was smoking in the room. And I had to cover my nose. It was so bad, like just the drugs, the amount of drug addicts in prison. You would think in a federal prison, you dealing with kingpins and your herb gotties and all these like big time drug dealers who get caught. No, you're dealing with people that have heavy drug addictions. They're going in your cell, stealing your clothes, stealing your food. If you don't lock your stuff up, and if they're not high and on drugs and stealing, they're sleeping with each other, girl. It is just a lot.
Ooh. So you were having to see that every day. How did you get through? Did you just try not to look and just pray and think about it? Like, how did you keep yourself sane? Because it's in your face.
It's in your face. I mean, for me, I could never just not see it and be disgusted. I was always disgusted by it. And I just was like, ugh. But
Goodness.
I would have conversations with my bunkie who she had been locked up for 6 years by this time. And they call it gay for stay. So you have women who are not actually gay, but they can't be alone. So they get into these companionship relationships with other women to cope, I guess, with being locked up. And so when she talks to me about it, I basically would be like, having a sisterhood, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with wanting to have a sister to talk to and a companion of a friend to be around you. But when you start sleeping with each other, that's when you cross the line into perversion and it's not normal. And so, and they know I didn't agree with that. I was very vocal about that. I don't agree with that lifestyle, but I've never treated the women like animals or gross.
Hmm.
Obviously, if I'm at the lunch table with a couple and they sitting there just hugging on each other, kissing each other, I'm gonna go. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
stand it. You guys, I'll see y'all.
But you did not preach, and you didn't preach to them or make them feel judged, but you did teach and mentor
Correct.
while you were there.
Correct.
And what was the biggest fruit that you saw of your time in prison where you helped change the life of someone there?
I'll give you a detail, and I'll tell you a small detail. So we have this thing called the hot water room, and in the hot water room, that's how you cook your food. If you want soup, like your oodles and noodles, you get
Oh,
some commissary, all that stuff. You have to make it in the hot water room, and this little hot water machine. that fills up, and it gets the hot water to about 190 degrees. But the more you keep using the machine, obviously the temperature of the water is going to drop, right?
Mhm.
And so there was a particular thing where you want to make sure you don't drain the machine out so that everybody can get hot water so they can enjoy
Mhm.
soups and things like that. So eventually I got to a place where I'm seeing these girls come in and they got these big old jugs, this big, like my Stanley cup, and they're just dropping it, filling it to the top, and they don't care that the person behind them just has this little cup of soup and wants the soup before bed, right?
Mhm.
So I would get in front of the line and I would say, listen, you need to let the ones with the smaller soups go ahead of you. We all need to get water. And I would be the only one willing to speak up. And
Would
so
they listen to you, or
they
did
were
they?
very respectful because I would approach things respectfully, right? But
Mhm.
you're gonna get what you put out. And
Mhm.
I don't care whether you deal with a prisoner, I don't care what
That's
background
true.
it is, you're gonna get what you put out. And
Yeah.
so then one of them be like, no, I want my water. I say, mommy, that is mucho selfish. Mucho selfish. And so when I would say that, she would feel ashamed. And so eventually, but before I left that jail, them girls were starting to wait on each other to get their hot water. They were starting to ask other women if they wanted hot water before they got their hot water. There would be 20 women in the line. I would make sure by the end of that line, everybody got hot water. Everybody had soups. I got up in the morning. I spoke. I said, how you doing to people? I didn't just get up in the morning and go about my day and be rude. I would greet people. Just basic class. Okay? If I had a girl from the kitchen, because I had my kitchen hookup, and I needed some extra food from the kitchen. Girl, I need some tostones. And she'd be like, okay, I'm gonna bring you some. By the end of the week, she's like, oh, okay, can you get me $30 worth of this on commissary?
Mhm.
Every commissary, I made sure every time I had a list for my girls that I got stuff from, not only would I get the commissary, but I made sure to pay them in the commissary room. Before I left the room, let me give y'all what I promised y'all first. So I operated the character of a Christian. It got so good that I would, if ever I needed something, like, I ran out of like some crackers and I needed some before commissary. I would go to the women. And again, you understand, Mexicans did not deal with, if you were white or black, they didn't deal with you. They stuck together. Okay?
Mhm.
Because a lot of times the whites and the blacks in the prison, they would make promises that they would pay you back something at commissary, but then duck and dodge you, which makes no
Mhm.
sense because you're in the cell right across from them. So how does
Yeah.
that work? I don't know, but they
Yeah.
would still do it. And
Yeah.
so when I got there, one of the Mexicans was like, mommy, I've never met a black woman like you. You not racist. You nice. You beautiful. You very honest. You very honest. And I would tell her, Jesus, Jesus. But that woman that I talked to, she had a racial issue towards black women before me. And that was because of her experiences. I think she had got
Mhm.
into fights with women in jail, or she would sell them something and they wouldn't pay her when they told they would. So she
Mhm.
had a prejudice, not racist. She had a prejudice towards it. By the
Mhm.
time I got out of that prison, them girls were hugging me. Them girls were crying because I was leaving. The way I was set up in prison, you would have thought I was there for 10 years, not 2 months.
Well, literally hearing you describe it, one day would be like 10 years to me, and I'm sure it was to you at first, but then you acclimate.
Yes.
But you said, okay, so did you start getting a glimmer of hope on the day that you saw Trump had been elected? Did you think, okay, I think I'm going to eventually get out, or were you? So you,
Absolutely.
so you felt hope, but you
Absolutely.
probably didn't get. Did you get contacted by your attorney or anyone saying, hey, this is good, or did you just feel in your spirit he was going to be pulling for you?
So the thing is, when Trump got in, by that time, my husband had already had connections with someone in his cabinet. And one thing I appreciate about Trump is that he never left a bunch of question marks for people. He had people on the ball working. And so people were calling my husband, reaching out to him, letting him know, listen, he's in. We're working. She's coming home. So
Oh,
it's just we didn't know when. You with
oh,
Trump, you don't know what date he can do things, and it's not because he's a procrastinator, but it's because he takes on so
how
much.
much?
And
Mhm.
so it's like, okay, you don't know. It was up in the air on what day I would get released. Actually, my most discouraging day, like you have to understand too, my close friends in prison were the J6ers. I met two girls that I was locked up with that were also J6ers like me. So when
Mhm.
we got there, we all band together and we were afraid
Mhm.
because obviously, we're patriots. We know why we're here, and so we just stuck together, right?
Mhm.
So now, when he got inaugurated, his first day, he really talked about the J6ers. He was laying it heavy on the J6ers.
Mhm.
So that night, he signs that executive order, and 1,500 J6ers are out. I wake up, I'm thinking I'm gonna get pardoned that day too, because he said
Mhm.
first day. Again, he was saying first day for everything, but obviously for so much he had, he couldn't fit it all in one day. It took him about it, but he did say though, first week. I'm making major moves. Period. Like everything. I'm gonna build the foundations of the building, and then by the next the rest of my presidency will be basically putting in all the decorations, the windows, and all that other stuff. But the foundation and the little stints for the building are gonna be laid first week. Pretty much is what he was saying.
But the first day, your best friend and several others but you're still there. Now, did that break you, or you're like, okay, just gotta hang on, it's gonna happen?
It was
You knew
such
it was gonna
a
happen.
temptation. It was such a temptation to break. And then I cried, y'all. Listen, if y'all think I was not in there crying, I cried. Of course, I cried. If I'm overwhelmed, it's okay to cry. But it was my faith that did not waver. I
Yeah.
just was crying and I'm like, Lord, how long? Like how long? I just, I'm ready to go home. I'm ready to go.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, it was hard for me because now I'm by myself. Now
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
I'm in prison, but I'm by myself. I'm not even with my fellow patriots.
Okay, remind me, how many days? Okay, they're released. How many more days until you were released?
3.
3 days. Now that again, that's a long time. Okay. I thought it was so beautiful, and I wish I could play it, but I know Allie Beth Stuckey played a video of you reuniting with your husband and your little girl. What's her name?
Eleanor.
Oh, I love that name. I'm having 2 grandbabies this summer. I had wished it,
Gorgeous.
but Eleanor is so pristine.
Yes.
Um, anyway, first of all, when he pardoned you, I assume he was signing something with your actual name on it. Okay.
Yes. I'm watching the news in the
You're
daytime
watching, and you almost didn't watch the news that day, right?
now because I was so overwhelmed.
Yeah.
After the 20th and all they had got released, I was overwhelmed. So I was kind of in the bed for the last 2 days. I was just in the bed. And then that morning I got pardoned. It was a very still morning. It was so still and peaceful. It was the weirdest thing because in prison, you got to be up by 6 in the morning dressed or you'll get in trouble. The officers didn't come around check in, and it was a weekday. So it was like, it felt like a weekend how peaceful it was.
Mhm.
And so I get up and I'm like, I'm not going to wear my uniform today. I'm going to put on my grays and I'm going to go sit in a TV room and I'm just going to watch the news. And I heard a whisper. I heard, "You're going home today." And it was hard for me to take it in because I had been let down so much.
Mhm.
It's hard for me to just like accept, like, wait, you're going home today. So it's like I heard the whisper and I said, yeah, 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 okay. But I'm like, all right, Lord, whatever. If I gotta be here another week, I had to. It's like you trying to have faith, but then trying to prepare yourself for
Hoping for the best, but expecting the worst.
pretty much. Pretty.
Okay.
No,
Now,
no, no. Let me not say expecting the worst.
no, 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 no. That's right. I didn't even mean that.
Right.
You knew that it was coming, but just not when. When, Lord?
Now win and expecting
When?
them doors in the face, them doors
Yes,
in the face, and
yes,
stick in
yes.
the face again.
Yeah. I know.
You're
I knew
hoping.
you would, because faith. You're not expecting the worst. Okay.
Right.
Now you're by yourself. You are in the TV room. What channel was on?
Fox News. Girl, let me tell you something. I put my chair on Fox News in the TV room, and you got to secure the TV first thing in the morning. I got up first thing in the morning, got that TV because it's girls in there that been in there 15 years who've been watching their channel on that TV for 15 years.
So
So now
you were
I'm
the
like,
first one.
yes, because
And
I don't care about your 15 years. I'm watching Fox today.
so you turned on Fox. Now this is the morning. Did he sign your pardon in the morning? Okay.
No.
So what happened?
So from 7 a.m. till about 2, I didn't even go to lunch. I sat in that main line in that TV room and I just watched. Got 2 chairs with my feet up and just watching the news, eating snacks, chilling. Next thing I see, breaking news. Trump to sign executive orders. So now two executive orders go by, the guy's announcing what they are, and then the third one, he says, and then now what's this next one? Well, this is the 23 pro-lifers that were unjustly charged and imprisoned for protesting in front of an abortion clinic. And then Trump says this is the honor of the sinus. This should have never happened. They should have never been charged. And next thing I hear is that loud marker he be signing with. And I'm like,
Now, Bevelyn, because I was watching that day and I saw it, or maybe I saw a replay. Did he sign for all 23 at once, or did he have to sign for all 23 separately?
all at once. We're all on the same executive order party. All of us.
So when you heard that pen and he held that up, you said, I'm walking out of this place today.
I'm going home. I was praising.
How soon? How long did, or you jumped up? I'm sure you were screaming, just praising the Lord. What happened after that? How long did it take?
I was out by 11:30 p.m.
Who came? Who came and got you?
My husband was waiting for me outside of that prison with my daughter. They were waiting for me for 2 hours. They had drove 4 hours away, all the way to Aliceville, Alabama from Chattanooga to come and get me. So it's like in the time it took them to get the people to come and release me, it was the perfect amount of time for Ricky to get in a car, drive down, and wait with Edme and my daughter for me to get out.
Have you had any way to thank President Trump? Have you written him? Have you been able to try to communicate with him? Because boy, I would be scrambling to at least say
Right.
thank you.
Right. So, a person from the cabinet, we sent a video to him to play to Trump, and I was just telling him, I said, you're a hero. You're a hero's hero. Just for you to do what you did and be standing the way you are, just thank you, and just really grateful that you're the man that you are. And so I sent that video to him. Obviously, I haven't been able to meet him in person to say thank you. I'm sure that day will come.
Yeah.
But just the level of, it's not even about him releasing me, be honest with you, because I was pro Trump. I never I was team Trump from the beginning. I love his personality. It reminds me a lot of mine. Very straight up, very just like honest, and it is what it is. But to watch him be such a man of his word
Yeah.
with all the haters against him,
Mm-hmm.
it's like if you can't, you ain't gotta like this man, but you gotta respect him. The level of respect I have for Trump, it's a heavenly level. I really respect this person because he has a heart of steel when it comes to standing on what he believes in. It's very
Mhm.
different.
I hope you get to meet him one day and for him to see that. Well, Bevelyn, just what you've been through and now moving forward, you do have a passion for the unborn. You have a passion for people. What do you hope to do in the next decade of your life?
Gosh, I hope to use my testimony to shift culturally young men and women like me who have either lived like me or who have judged people like me.
Hmm.
I want my testimony to bring really cultural divides together. I want to see
Break
people
down
of all different, yeah, I want to see people of all different colors and backgrounds come together and hug each other and love each other in Christ.
walls.
And look at this testimony and start to see hope in other people. And I wanna watch that happen. I wanna watch the culture change. And I really hope that my story will play a part in shifting the culture in this nation and seeing us become Americans and not just Black American, white American, but I really want to see us become Americans, and I want to see us become Christians in this nation together. I think that's gonna be amazing to see.
And you're going to work tirelessly. Are you going to have more children?
Yes, I am. I am. So I did get a surgery. It's not a secret. I'm not secretive about it. I
Uh-huh.
got a surgery, a weight loss surgery, a little gastric bypass.
Oh, well, good for you.
So
You look great.
thank you. I mean, I was thick, but I went through. People don't realize like the weight I was gaining was because I was going through a lot, like
Yeah.
3 years plus
Yeah.
having a baby.
Uh-huh.
Girl, you know how it go. I just
So
put the
you're
weight
just trying to get strong and okay.
right and healthy. I want my second pregnancy to be just as healthy as my first pregnancy, and obviously being overweight. It's like no shade, not trying to body shame nobody, but you don't have to be overweight. Overweight is not healthy. Wanting to do that before I have another baby.
And I know that it's not an easy surgery. I know people who've had it and it's hard, but the
Right,
benefits outweigh the risk for sure. So,
right, right,
well, Bevelyn, if people want to get in touch with you, if they have questions, or what's the best way to reach you? Do you have a social media or a place that people can reach out? They can that to even just to let you know that you've inspired them.
right. My ministry page at wellministries.org.
And this will all be in the show notes, but it's At Well Ministries.
.org. They can go on that website. They can email me. They can send a message. They can partner with us. All of that. Any type of support they want to do, right there.
That's amazing. Well, I cannot tell you what a source of just joy it has been to hear your story, because you are probably one of the most positive people to have gone through everything you've been through, and just to be so positive and I want to change the world. I want to do good. I want to, I mean, you've got lofty goals, and I truly feel like you're going to meet them. Well, listen, thank you, Bevelyn. Thank you. And all of you who are watching and listening, thank you. And until next time, be blessed and stay savvy. Hi, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Savvy Cast. If you'll take the time to rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes, that would mean so much. As always, thank you for listening and have a blessed day.